isn't about critical thinking. It's about committing crimes, disobeying orders. You can raise concerns, but if you're then asked to do something and instead you refuse or you lie, like it appears Allen did, or secretly download information onto a hard drive like Friend, in any other context, this wouldn't be close. Joining me now, Tracy Walder, former FBI special agent and former CIA officer. She's also a NewsNation national security contributor. And Tom Davis, former Republican congressman from Virginia, who served as the chair of the House Oversight Committee. Thanks to both of you for coming on. Look, Tracy, let me start with you. You have concerns about the way that the FBI deals with whistleblowers. You've talked about that. So what did you make of today's proceeding?
You know, Dan, I was pretty horrified, quite frankly, by these proceedings. I worked at the FBI and CIA under two different political parties and two different presidents. And at no time did I ever see the hyper politicalization that we see today. And this is deeply problematic because I think to call these individuals whistleblowers, when you have, in the case of Special Agent Friend, who is downloading sensitive FBI information to a flash drive and taking that out of FBI headquarters. I mean, we have to remember he's really no different than what Jack Teixeira was doing, quite frankly, taking information out of that Air Force base. And so I think this is hugely problematic and quite frankly undermines some of the bigger, broader issues maybe that need to be addressed with the Department of Justice about whistleblower laws and retaliation, because that's not what's going on here. This truly is trying to create a weaponization of the FBI where there really is no weaponization to create.
So Davis, what do you make of that?
Well, I mean, you can say there's no weaponization. I think it's an appropriate inquiry. I don't know that today was their best day, but you take a look at the Hunter Biden laptop, for example. The FBI had that, they confirmed it, and they're up there talking to the media as if it's Russian interference, kind of knowing full well that it wasn't at that point. They're sending agents into churches. We know that because we've had whistleblowers disclose that, going into PTA meetings. So I think there's a suspicion at this point that maybe the FBI is putting their finger on the scale at this point, and I think it needs to be to be looked at this point. I'll tell you what really bothers me, though, is that you have both the right going after the FBI, you have the left going after the Supreme Court, and as you start going after these institutions in this country, bad things happen.
I agree. By the way, I defend the Supreme Court. You're going to see me in the next segment bash a far left Democrat. You know, we play it straight on this show, but I have to tell you, you mentioned that the FBI was speaking out about Hunter Biden. They weren't. The FBI didn't publicly say anything about it, right? It was a bunch of former...
No, but they went to the media, Dan.
Sorry?
They went to the media ahead of time to warn them that this could be Russian interference.
Oh, that was before Hunter Biden came out, though. They warned them about Russian disinformation generally.
But they knew they knew this about the Hunter Biden thing, giving them that edge, if you were putting your fingers on the scale.
But
again,
you know what?
And the end result is
why would
Chris
Wray, a lifelong Republican, want to be stacking the deck against Republicans?
Well, I think Chris Wray is a man of high integrity. Okay, I knew his private life. I think Durham calls it a confirmation bias by some of the people at headquarters, and I think there's pressure from the Justice Department too in terms of the things they're focused on and looking at, and I think they're reacting to that.
Yeah. But Tracy, it sounds like we're all in agreement here, though, that today was not a great day in terms of either moving forward with whistleblower protections, and as you've said, there are things that need to change at the FBI. You're not going to hear me defending everything the FBI does. There were a lot of mistakes made in the Russia investigation. But the reality is that today feels like you bring a bunch of people who've been punished by the FBI for misdeeds and you call them whistleblowers.
100%. I couldn't agree with you more. And I think the even bigger issue, right, if we really want to look at, the bird's eye view of all of this, is the damage that I feel that it could potentially do to national security. I mean, aside from obviously whistleblower protections, we're looking at the re-up of the 702 FISA. And I do think that this is going to play into it because now, in a way, whether we think these witnesses were credible or not, or were whistleblowers or not, which I personally don't think that they are, you do have a public sentiment that I think is going to be hard to, I guess, put back in the bottle, if you will. And I have serious questions as to whether or not some of these national security acts that we need to protect ourselves from terrorist attacks may not be re-upped.
All right, we shall see. Tracy Walder and Tom Davis, thank you.
Let me just say
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.